I'm CK. Today we have a module from Shakmat. This is their Jeweler cast. It's a mixer and wave shaper. It's got wave shaping, distortion, ring modulation, and other goodies to put your audio signals or CV signals through. So we'll put it together and take a look at the scope, see how it looks, and see how it sounds when modulating and modifying various waves. Hope you enjoy the video. Black bag containing the bits from Shakmat out of Brussels in Belgium. And this is K-01. I don't know if that means it's serial number 1 or not, but that's interesting. And this glue is incredibly tough. Wow. That's some good glue there. I don't know if this is recyclable. No, it's got... No, it's not. It's plastic lined. Let's see. Got... Oh, knobs are kind of rolling out. These are okay knobs. There are no set screws, but they've got a nice hard plastic insert. Power cord. We'll look in that bag in a minute. Get all the knobs out first, because they're floating around. And here is owner's manual, and nothing else in there. I am going to assume that there is a ton of surface mount already installed. So we're not going to be doing a whole lot of building here. That's become the trend. I mean, I understand it, but it's not as much fun for us do-it-yourselfers. But let's take a look at the circuit board first. I mean, the front panel first. We'll take a circuit board look in a minute. So we've got mix with 1 and 2 over here and 3 over here. We've got shape for the wave shaper, and this looks like it's probably a switch. It says DST-FLD, so that would be distort and fold. And there's CV mix and CV shaper in 1, in 2, in 3. AC, I don't know, that may be to convert AC signals like an LFO which passes through 0 or something like that, don't know. Shape in, so you can affect the shape by CV. And then we've got mix out from here and shape out from there. And I think that's it for the front panel. Certainly looks interesting, and it's again K01. And yeah, here it is. Okay, it's 2 boards. Shakmat Jeweler cast. Version 1.0. And here it is. Yeah, it's got all this electronic components. They're all surface mount and they're all pre-installed. So not much to do there. Let's see if we can take a look at some of the part numbers. TL074, op-amp, 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 which I'm not surprised at. I mean, that's what a shaper is going to use, op-amps. So most of them appear to be op-amps, except for this one, and this one, and then there's an MCP. That's another op-amp, just from Motorola instead of TI. And this other one, let me see if I can read the part number. LM13700, I think that's the part number. Don't know what that is. But as you can also see, this is 2 boards together, so I'm going to snap them apart right now. Get that out of the way. I'm going to try and snap them apart. See, that's the problem. When you've got surface mount already installed, you don't want to press too hard on the surface mount components when you're trying to snap these boards apart. Now, when you snap the boards apart, you of course get some jagged edges, and I take a little piece of sandpaper and scuff them down. You don't have to do that. I like to. I guess you could probably see what I'm doing, huh? That's the point of doing it on video, isn't it? So you can see it. That's good enough. So if everything is surface mounted on both these panels, that means that this bag contains some mechanical bits, probably some spacers to hold the boards together, or actually there's a pin header here and a pin header here. And let's find the power connector, because this is a little bit interesting to me. The power connector is going to go on the pots and knobs board, which is then going to kind of poke through there. So that's interesting. Instead of mounting it on the backboard, it gives you another 4 or 5 millimeters of depth reduction, which I guess is okay. Bunch of jacks, and thankfully they have their panel nuts removed. A couple of pots, switch, 2 switches, one's for the AC, one's for the shape and fold. And then pin headers, which I think are already pre-cut to the right size, which is always nice. It's not necessary, of course, but it's nice, because then I'm not going to mess it up. So that's it. This is going to go together very, 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 very quickly. So I'll get the soldering iron heated up and we'll put it together. I took a look through the build guide, and as you can imagine, it's not very detailed because there's not much to do. The one thing that they do note that you would notice if you were doing this, these potentiometers have some anti-rotation or index tabs on them, and you want to cut those off or else the panel won't sit flat. So I'm going to do that right now. They usually break off pretty cleanly. They're not too hard. These pots do not have anti-rotation on them. So let me bring my soldering pad in. And first thing we're going to do is put the pin headers together. Now they want us to do it this way. I'll do it this way. I don't particularly like doing it this way, but I will. Just because if you're going to follow the build guide. Oh, look at that. Oh, no, that's not. I thought that was something else. I don't particularly like to put them together like this, but since we're following the build guide, and you may be also, may as well. So put the pin headers together like so, because this makes sure that the top and bottom are going to be aligned, which I guess can be a problem for some people. It's not too difficult to do it without doing it this way, but again, I'm not going to complain about it. Except I just did for about 2 minutes. I'm going to put this on a piece of foam, the bottom board on a couple of pieces of foam, so that it sits better. And I'm going to, just for the sake of being careful, I'm going to do two. I'm going to do 1 pin on each of the headers on that side, and then one pin on the header on this side. And take a look. They all look dandy, so now I'll solder all the rest of these pins. And that's that. The only thing to be careful of is, of course, there are surface mount components up here, a couple of resistors and a transistor that you don't want to mess with. I'm going to keep the boards together right now just because I feel like it while I put this power connector on. Again, I'll use a little piece of foam to hold it in place while I'm soldering one leg. I think I'll go ahead and grab another piece of solder. So we'll solder that leg right there. I'll pick it up, make sure it's flush to the board, and it is. I can put the foam away and do the rest of the pins. Again, there's a transistor right there that you want to be careful of. Now we'll separate the boards at the pin headers. And put all the front panel components on. I'm going to put them on, actually I'm going to do the switches first, and then I'll put all the rest on. Let's see how tightly these fit first. Oh, they fit pretty tightly, not supremely tightly. I still have to be careful with falling out. More foam. So again, I will do one leg on each switch. I'll pick it up, take a look, make sure they're both completely flat to the board, and this one isn't. So I will press on it with my fingers and reheat that leg, and it clicked down. I could feel it. You couldn't hear it that time, but I could feel it. I'll do this one just to be sure. No, that one's completely down. So I'll solder these up. First just for completeness sake, I'll go ahead and make sure that they line up. And they do. They'll be fine. Now we'll put all the rest of the components on the board. The green 10K pots go on the two top positions. Are these both 10K? Yeah, they're both 10K. I had to double check. I hadn't looked before. Then we've got these little fellas, and what are these? These are not labeled. Oh no, they're also 10K. And put all the jacks on. And right here, these bottom 6 jacks share a ground pin. Okay, I'm going to put the front panel on. Make sure everything fits, and it does. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to solder one pin on this jack down here, and one pin on this potentiometer up here. And then I'm going to take one panel nut and put it on the jack I just soldered the pin on. Put it down finger tight. Do the same up here. And that will make sure everything stays aligned and nothing is moving and everything's as flat as it can be. And now I'll solder all these connections. Double check to make sure I've got all the connections soldered, and I do. So we will mate the boards again. Put the knobs on, and they've got a flat side on them, so it's easy to make sure you get the index marks in the right place, which is always difficult for me. Also, I want to put the panel nut on under this knob, of course. And when you're pushing the knobs on, support the panel with your other hand. Don't support the circuit board. Support the panel. The panel can take the force. The circuit board might flex, might get damaged. Now put all the input and output jacks on. Now we'll put the power cord in and note the 12-volt line, since this is not a keyed connector. And that's it. That's the front, the side, the back, the other side, the top, and the bottom. Now we'll put it in the rack and get to folding and distorting. Okay, we're in the rack. Let's power everything up. There's no LEDs on the wave folder, so we don't have a direct indication that it's working. On the scope, let me bring the scope up, and on the scope we've got the top line is the unmodified signal, the bottom line will be the modified signal. So I'm going to bring my LFO up, which is feeding into input 1. Oh, I've got something else in input 2 right now. Let me take that out for a second. So it's tracking pretty well. Now when I change the shape, because that's where we're coming in, you can see it just flattened out the LFO almost completely, because that means it's dry. Now I'll take it all the way over here. Flattens it out all the way at the other end too. So that's mixing. This is mixing 1 and 2. So I'm going to take a VCO signal, an audio signal, and put it in. Well, I may as well have some sound going on while we're doing this. We'll put that in mix out so we can hear what's going on. Let me turn that up a little bit. So that's what's going on right now. And now as I shape it, if you look at the scope, you can see there's a little flat line plus shape on top of it. Let's hear how that sounds. Not getting me what I thought it would get me. But let's take that. Now we'll go to shape. And you can hear what's happening there. I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to put some CV into input 3. I'm going to change this to folding. So let me change this around a little bit so you can see the output also and get the audio in as well as the output. Now you can see the audio on the scope and we can hear it too. So that's shaped between, ooh, listen to that. That's in fold mode. Now I'm doing a mix slightly differently. And that's going to, that should be going to shape out, but it may not. Let me go into mix again. Oops, come on. Nope. Let me go back to shape. I'm going to turn the AC switch off. Go back to distortion. I'm going to take this out and I'm going to change it. I'm going to change the audio to what's coming out. Oops, I just reset the sequencer. That's pretty wacky. Let me go back to what I was doing before. And take the FM, the VCO signal out from my even VCO. Now I'm going to take that output from the LFO, which is coming from where? Where is it? Green is going in there. And there's the output from the LFO. And I've got one other output that I'll take that LFO and put it into frequency modulation. Actually, I'm going to take the waveform output and put it in frequency modulation. Make sure I've got the right thing in there. No, I don't. I don't know why that's plugged in there. So I'm going to take that waveform and put it into frequency modulation. That's not too interesting. Let me go a little simpler here. We've got the output from the LFO going into there, and then I don't really care about the audio signal now, so I'm going to take the shape out and put that into frequency modulation. And let me put that live sound in. Where am I? Okay, I'm going to do this a little bit differently. Hold on one. Take the shape out, put it in here so you can see it on the scope. and then feed that into frequency modulation again. You can see how it's tracking that little shaping. See how it's folding that wave all, or shaping that wave all along. Change the rate. Now it's got nothing, it's the same. We'll put that in octave. Oh, that's a little too low. Let me turn the... I'm going to turn AC back on. Now I'm going to go back to the mix out instead of shape out. Let me see what that's going to do. I'm not really sure what I'm going to be doing there. I don't have anything in input 2 right now, so let me go ahead and grab another cable from somewhere or other. And I'm going to take the CV output from the sequencer and put that in 3. Now we're going to mix in 1 and 2. I'm going to take the frequency modulation out, and my water heater went on while we're making all this noise. See, now, since nothing is in 3, I'm not mixing anything. But if I take this CV back to 3, I'm going to go back into shape because that seems more interesting to me. I mean, that is very interesting. Look at those waveforms. That bottom waveform is pretty neat. So that's what it does, and I'm going to shut it down because the water heater is making a bunch of noise. So that's what it does. It's got lots of potentials and possibilities. I'm sorry, let me do one more thing. I'm going to put the LFO into the CV shape and see what that does. So you can get an idea of what it's doing. It's taking the waveform and shaping it in a number of different ways. I think there are 6 of them. And then you can use the mixer to blend and distort 2 other signals. It's a pretty good unit. I like this very much, and as you saw, it's almost trivially easy to put together. So this would be a fun unit to get and put in your rack. And I hope you enjoyed the video.